what a difference 12 months or even perhaps even 6 to 8 months makes. We're now here across multiple events in 2025 fighting for points with both cars. And across certainly the last 2 or 3 events, I think we've really established ourselves as a team that across different circuit characteristics, across different tyre types, are able to still put that car in point scoring position. We haven't got it all right, there's no doubt about that, but equally that is the journey that we're on as a team. There's over 100 little small details that we're clearing up along the way. But what I enjoy and what I like to see is that the team is stepping up to the challenge all the way through. And every time we face adversity, it's an open discussion about how do we improve this going forward. Because that's what's led us to this position already, and that's what will lead us to further success in the future. In terms of the race itself, it was sort of forecast to be quite a dull one stop on paper, but it was far from that. That new C6 compound certainly made qualifying more tricky. You saw it's very difficult to really get the lap out of it. And in the race, now that we're all running on softer compounds, it created a very difficult overheating situation and really ended up being a 2-stop with the help of the safety car for most of the field that had the tyres. So from a potentially uninteresting race, I think a fascinating race to watch. Really was edge of the seat racing at the end of the race with Alex against Charles going into that turn. Ultimately, we ended up finishing ahead of Charles but behind Lewis as a result of it. But what I take from it more is that we're fighting there on merit, which is what I'm more interested in. With Carlos, we absolutely haven't got it all right together across the year so far, but it will come together in time. That's my assurance to everyone. The simple facts behind it is that we have a quick car. It's not going to change overnight, and I'm looking forward to the next few events together as we solidify that. Welcome to the Vowles Verdict, presented by Kraken. The interesting point here is what effectively have we proved in setup? Now, it's never one thing. It really is that getting a Formula One car right is getting all of the details correct and then continuously improving and refining every single part of that. That includes how the driver's interacting with us, how we're looking at data, how we're using certain aspects of the car. Are we using the tyres correctly? Are we using the brakes correctly? And across this season, we've made some quite radical experiments across certain free practice sessions and been running the car in quite a different way. The main elements that really everyone needs to be aware of is that we're extracting more aerodynamic performance out of the package than we were before, and we've managed to, through those setup changes, get the balance into a more usable region for the drivers. So it's a combination of those two things, but I hope that you'll see across the future races that will continue to evolve. We're not at the end of the journey on our learning there. Pit stops. The pit stops that we're doing, I think I had a look at the ranking before I came in here, and we're ranked somewhere in and around the middle of the field. That's obviously not where we want to be. Around where McLaren are, interestingly enough as well, although their car is quick enough that they can take a little bit more time in that situation. So to give you perspective, we were unfortunately last a few years before then, so it's continuous progress again as we're everyone else. What are we doing at the moment? The crew come here to the UK, the factory, and train very often with 2 different types of rigs. We've done a very different fitness program that's kicked in across the last year and a half that really is pushing them to a higher limit than we were before. And we have technology, we have some pit stop guns that will come our way across the course of the season, which again, and not just safety and reliability, but also performance to the equation. So as with the car, it's not one item. It is really all bounds that we have to be pushing forward as a result of it. One other factor that plays into it is how the drivers line up into the box, the speed into the box. So we're doing work there with both Carlos and Alex to make sure they're optimum, both for gaining time, but also for making sure the mechanics can react quickly. Carlos's strategy is circumstance. An interesting decision, this one, in as much as I would say around 50% of the field stopped, around 9 cars. Also, most teams split their cars, apart from Aston Martin, who stopped both, but including McLaren, Piastri stopped, for example, and Norris did not. So that just tells you the amount of information we had as a team wasn't enough to conclusively understand whether it would really go to a 2-stop properly or whether it would be on a 1-stop. Here's the information we had. Around about lap 9 to lap 12, a lot of drivers, Carlos included, came on and said there was a lot more degradation, more than you expect. It's not what we thought pre-event. That was a very clear message that went out. And as I said, it was around 4 to 7 cars or so that really coming across that. Second of all, the lap times took a sharp detour. They started to degrade quite significantly, and we could see that the rear tyres were both hot and degrading. So the question becomes, will this continue for another 10 laps, which is what you need to make a one-stop to work, and in which case the one-stop is dead. You're not going to make it work. And because teams weren't sure, most, and that includes us, decided to stop the lead car in that circumstance, looking like that was the correct decision. What then happened across the next 3-4 laps is we were checking in with Alex, can you make it? Can you do 10 more laps? And his initial response was, no, I can't do 10 more laps. These tyres feel terrible. And then one lap after that, they started to feel a little better and a little bit better. So effectively, we all went through a sequence of tyre damage and overheating that cleared up. And it cleared up fast enough to make that one stop the better strategy. How do we improve this going forward? Because clearly we are in a situation where we want to be scoring the maximum number of points. And despite all others splitting their cars, how do we maximize that opportunity? Number one, I think would have been much better open communication with Carlos. We have one of the best drivers in the world, and simply we didn't rely on him and his information to say, does that mean it'll go to a 2-stop? Or if we box now, we can cover off the risk of being undercut by 3 cars. But Charles has already stopped and is X seconds faster. So we can provide information that at least brings them into the decision-making process. This happened very quickly without really gathering all of the information. That may not have changed what we did, but it's just a better way of operating anyway. Going forward, there are certain aspects of what we're looking at in terms of these tyres that we understand much more, and that will feed into the models. It will for other teams as well, understanding just how the C5 and the C4, these really soft compounds, work on tracks that are a little bit more aggressive. So it's not a problem I'm expecting in Monaco, but for example in Montreal, where probably these tyres will reappear, that's something we need to consider. Short answer to this one, no. There was no damage sustained when Carlos overtook Tsunoda. It's a correct statement. Aston Martin added performance and they were good in qualifying. Potentially not as good in the race though, based on their pace. But irrespective, the point still stands. The question is, how do we keep moving forward? First thing I'd bring to everyone's attention is that the car we have today is fundamentally aerodynamically the same car as we had in Bahrain. But we've been iteratively improving it, as all teams do, just finding more than others. So it's not that we're at the end of the rope with what we already have as a package. Second of all, Barcelona, which is just in 2 rounds' time, has a reset in terms of front wing aeroelasticity for all teams. All teams will bring unconfident changes to what they have at the moment. That will change, I think, the performance order slightly, and it'll be interesting to see where we shake out as a result of that, but we've taken the opportunity to slightly update the car at that stage as well. Then beyond there, we have a few things in the pipeline, but more to follow on that. But let's see how that all shakes out first. Team morale. It is really critical for me. I will always mention this, but the success that we have as Williams is because we have 1,000 individuals that believe in what we're doing, all pointing the right way and given everything to this journey. So morale is just an absolute core, essential part of that. And what I can tell you is this, there is a meeting I've just come out of where the energy is palpable in the room. You can feel it from all the individuals involved. It's one where we have to make sure we direct it the right way. We still have a lot to fix and change for our future, but it's one where this momentum will keep us going for many, many months to come. We're a team that's on the up, and it is a fantastic feeling.